Welcome back. With me right now is Juanita Skillman. She is, of course, the board president of United. And Juanita, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
To have you on today.
It's always good to be here. We like to keep our residents informed of what's going on.
Yes, and I know that you have some good things to say, but you have something that's kind of bittersweet because one of your board members is stepping down from the board.
That's right. Yes, it's with great regret that we had to accept the resignation of Steve Leonard, who has been a wonderful addition to our board, but he has a really good private opportunity that he just didn't feel he could say no to, and it's going to include a lot of travel, and it's based in LA, and he just could not do that and make meetings and be on our board as well. Now, he has said he will still help us out with research because that's one of the big things that we've relied on him for. But he's just such a great supportive board member that we are definitely going to miss him. But anybody who is interested in taking his place on the board, it's an interim position that would be through next September. They can get an application like this from Catherine Lassiter in the general manager's office. And it needs to be returned no later than noon on March 30th. And we will be making an appointment at our April meeting to replace him. So if you're interested in serving on the board and you'd like to try us out, please feel like you can apply. This position would be up for election in the fall. But of course, if you get in as an interim, you might have a little name recognition.
And so, it gives you a chance to
to see if you like it and what's going on. So please go see Catherine if you're at all interested in serving on our board. And
I know in the last meeting, something, as you say, you do frequently is you change committee assignments around for obvious reasons. And you'll have to do that again in a couple months.
When we get somebody to replace it. Right now, the executive committee has basically filled in on the various committees that he is on at this time until we get a replacement for him. And then we'll reshuffle committees again as to who is interested and who can do what. We don't know that whoever replaces him will want to do the same things that he has and have his background, and so that may take another shuffle. But we do that all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
We do that all the time.
And you explained it at the meeting.
Yeah. One of the things that I think was really interesting from Director Liberatore, who's one of our three people on the VMS board, and he talked about the fact that the garden centers have completely turned around. There is no more wait list. Wow. There are about 15 plots available. So if you think, I've always wanted one, but I knew I'd never get one, I was on a wait list too long, whatever, now's the time. You can probably get one. And we know that there are quite a few people in United who like to garden, who would like a garden plot, and so it's a really good time for you to apply. And we hope we'll get some more out of that. So I was really pleased to hear about that, because at one time there were 400 people on that wait list.
Wow. And now's the time. It's coming up on spring.
They've cleaned it up. What they did was they took people who had multiple plots and told them they couldn't have that many. And that freed up quite a few. And then we had people who had not been keeping up their plots and they had kind of gone to seed. And so we took those back. And all in all, we got enough plots to fill it, to do away with the waiting list, and we have some available at this time. Another thing from landscape that I thought was interesting for our people, there's been a lot of talk about the great, beautiful sycamore tree down by the creek, which is old. Some people have told me 400 years old. But it's sick, it's rotting, it's not good, and it's a danger. So we're taking it out, but on Arbor Day, and I'm trying to remember when Arbor Day is, it's in April, but on Arbor Day we're going to be planting another sycamore, and not just a little seedling, but a good-sized tree. So there will still be the tree there, it just won't be the same one.
That'll be nice to be able to do that.
So that will help a lot. Plans are going forward great on our new gates, and they're doing 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the same time. And a construction is supposed to start on that in just a couple months. So things are moving ahead really well on that. Our consent calendar, we had 2 approvals of alterations from our standards committee. We had no landscape recommendations this time, and we approved 1 lien for someone who was so far behind on their assessments.
Okay.
Had to do that. Unfinished business, we approved the resolution endorsing the handyman program. And I know that's a big thing we've been on, a number of our board members have been on to talk about the handyman program, but it's going forward. We had to do 30 days again because we changed the policy and a little bit, and now it specifically says it would be $200 annually to enroll in the handyman program, and you would get 3 visits a month. You could call resident services. We don't expect everybody to need them 3 times a month, but you would be eligible with your annual subscription for them to come out 3 times a month and do all the little things around the house that maybe you used to do but don't feel that you're physically able to anymore, or for those of us who are single and don't have a honey-do anymore, they would come and do that. So we're really pleased to see that going forward. It'll be a pilot program, and after the first year, we'll adjust it to see if 3's too many, 3's too little. We have 2 handymen who will be attached to that program for the first year, and we'll see, is that enough? How many people want it? How many people sign up? All of that good stuff.
And you anticipate around June?
Yes.
That it'll start up? Okay.
We're hoping the 1st of June, because we should put it through at it'll be our May meeting. This whole thing with 30-day notice.
Well, this time of the year.
It drives us crazy because there's just not 30 days between all of our meetings, and so then we have to go to 2 months. The second unfinished business thing we did was we passed a motion establishing a policy for directors. This is not members. Directors' access to corporate books and records. Now, members also have a right, and we've had that policy and that form in place for quite a while. Directors have a little bit more leeway. They have, according to state law and civil code, absolute right to look at any of United's, not GRF's, not Third's, United's records or books or documents. And there's now a form and a policy that goes along with that, not to so much control it as to manage it so that it doesn't infringe too much on staff and what they're doing. So we just kind of put those in, and it passed also 6-2, so we're really pleased to have that going forward.
There was a lot of discussion on
There
that
was
one?
a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
A lot of discussion was on the words confidential, private, and privileged, and what that meant. Luckily, our attorney was with us. He's been sitting in on some of our meetings, and he was able to explain that that is the verbiage in the civil code and what it actually meant. There are a lot of state laws, privacy laws, HIPAA health laws, that kind of stuff, that restrict records even from a director. And so that's why that clause was in there, but we did talk quite a bit about that. Under new business, we sent forward, we had first reading and sent forward to our next meeting a revision in the electrical usage reimbursement policy. When people have dry down services, other things that is using their electricity to do something that basically is handled by the co-op, they would come back for a reimbursement.
Right.
So what we've done is just set a standard $32 per room per day for anything that uses the residents' electricity instead of common area electricity. And this is going to help. It's going to save so much on paperwork for our staff who has to go through and figure out all of these things, maybe for a $6 charge. And it's an hour's worth of staff time. It just, it economically did not even out. So we were really pleased. This will be the second reading, and we'll vote on again at our May meeting.
Okay.
But it's going forward. And we had some committee reassignments because of Steve leaving.
Yeah.
And those also went through. In the committee reports, all of our committees are working well. I'm really pleased with what everybody's doing, and they're meeting monthly, and we have some good resident advisors on every one of our committees. We can always use more. We're allowed to have one resident advisor for every board member that's on a committee.
Okay.
And we like to have that many because we like to hear from our residents, and they bring so much background and knowledge to our committees. Just had the Architectural Standards and Control meeting this morning, and our two advisors on that are just fantastic and bring so much to the table on that. Future agenda items coming up for our next meeting. We introduced in February a resolution for closets and interior partition walls. As we've said before, we're trying to make standards wherever we can so that people don't have to go through the variance process.
Okay.
If they can just do it at the alterations desk and staff takes care of it, it saves them money, it saves us money, and we're sure what's getting done. And then we also had a resolution for a policy on, turn page, co-occupants. I think we've mentioned before, there is a concern in the village about co-occupants. Co-occupants in our original governing documents said a co-occupant was a spouse, a domestic partner, or a dependent child.
Okay.
But more and more we're getting people who want roommates, if you will. It's their friend from Laguna Niguel who wants to come play golf, or it's somebody that lives in the area that they're putting on as a co-occupant that really doesn't live there or lives there part-time or something like that. So we're taking a really hard look at what we can do and how we can define that, and we'll be talking about that.
Do you have any sense of what percentage that might be of the of what you would call co-occupants?
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't give you numbers. We have quite a few co-occupants. Okay. In United, we do not allow roommates. We do not allow rooms for rent, and so people have been trying to bypass that rule by styling them as either a co-occupant or a care provider.
Okay.
And we also have to look at those. So that's why for care providers, they have to be registered with the state, and we have to have a doctor's note saying they really need that care provider and that kind of thing. So that we don't have people in the village who don't or aren't invested in the village, who really don't have a real part of our village that they did when they bought in their right to occupy.
Okay. So that's something that I know you're going to be looking at and looking at it closely, and may have to reword things in the documents, right?
Right. Document Review Committee, which meets a week from Monday, is looking through all of these things. And what we do in document review is exactly that. We look at anything and we go back and we research 50 years worth of operating rules and resolutions and things that have gone before. Were they superseded? How were they worded?
Yeah.
What did they say then? Is it something that's already in our governing documents that we just haven't been following? And there are that. So it's a very interesting committee that usually meets for about 3 hours, and sometimes we even have to have a second meeting depending on how much goes on there. So that's coming up.
All right, a lot going on. And again, if folks want to look into that interim time on the board, you need to get your application in by March 30th. And
March 30th, which is a Friday at noon.
Okay.
So and you can pick this up from Catherine.
Yeah, and hopefully you get some good people.
Oh, I do hope so. We've got so many great people out there. I meet our residents all the time, and I'm just blown away by their backgrounds. And I know a lot of people say, hey, I'm retired, I don't want to work anymore, board's a lot of work, but there's a lot that they can contribute to the community, and I hope some of them will step forward and do that.
Yeah, and Steve will be hard to fill, but we wish him well.
Right. And we will have 3 vacant seats coming up in the fall.
Oh, okay, you already
We're already looking
Okay.
at that. So if there are people that apply that don't
Okay.
make this one, believe me, we're going to hold on to your application and your interest for next fall.
All right, there you go. Juanita, a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
And great stuff going on with the board. You're moving ahead with all kinds of different things, and one by one, right? Take it month by month.
One step at a time.
All
One
right,
step at
with
a
that
time.
30 days in between as needed.
Right,
Yeah, there you go.
exactly.
All right, we'll be right back.